worst take. I'm Kyle Torrain, the host of the show, and I'm joined here with Jack Ziskid and Cedric Derecho. We're going to start off with a pretty easy one today. We're going to start with Cedric. We're going to start with your Packer experience at the mini camp or training camp.
Packers training camp. Well, this is not a worst take, but I think this is a good take. I think that the Packers are legit this year. They're not only legit, I think that as coming from an Eagles fan, getting to see this team up close, I think that this team can make some noise. They have depth everywhere. They have a lot of depth at the wide receiver position. In fact, they have so much depth that they moved Bo Melton, my Rutgers guy. I went to Rutgers for my undergrad. Bo Melton was a stud over there. Did some good things last year. They're moving him to cornerback. He's going to play the cornerback position because they have too many receivers. They got McCole Hardman, who, remember, guys, is a three-time Super Bowl champ. Um, they already have established players like Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Dobbs, who are looking to break through, make some noise this year, in addition to Christian Watson, Jalen Reed. There's just so much depth for Jordan Love to throw the ball. I think this is going to be an aerial attack that can really strike fear into defenses, and that's not even counting their first round pick Matthew Golden this year, who's been showing a lot of good things in practice. I think that LaFleur has this group playing really well, and that's not even getting to the defense yet. But right now the offense is looking stacked, and that's what you have. Josh Jacobs in the running game, who put up video game numbers last year. Expect him to do that this year. I think that Green Bay has one of the best offenses in the NFL, and you're going to see that as long as they can stay healthy. But even if they can't, they have a lot of depth. Next man up mentality is real over here in Lambeau. So I
It's not
think
next
that,
man up mentality. It's first man down mentality. They know these guys are going to go down. Did you mention Savion Williams in there, by the way? You can't
haven't.
miss him. He's 6'5".
Yeah, I know, and I don't know if he's going to make the roster, man.
He's
That's
probably
how
making
much
the
depth.
roster. He was a third
That's
round
how
pick.
much depth they have.
He's a third round pick. I mean, look, you mentioned McCole Hardman, the guy who didn't know he won the Super Bowl. Shout out to him for that. I know that's low hanging fruit there, but as a Jets fan, as somebody who watched him with the Jets and watched him with the Chiefs, he's a chicken running around with his head cut off, respectfully.
Look.
Uh,
This is look. I think that the Eagles are the clear favorite to win the NFC this year. Don't get me wrong, but I do think that who poses the biggest threat to the Eagles right now? I think that the Green Bay Packers can make a run at Philly. I think that out of all of the teams in the NFC right now, I think that they actually pose the best chance, and I think they're going to win the NFC North. I think that the Lions take a step back. I think that the Vikings take a step back. I don't think the Bears are there yet. And Jack, you're laughing now, but
I
I've
am.
seen this team up close, man, and they're legit.
I
Just
believe
watch
you,
them.
and from a low vantage point from that for that matter. But and this is what we got to get down to with this. I mean, you have them winning the NFC North. I hate to break it to you, they're not winning the AFC North. It's not
AFC? Hey, why'd you say AFC?
NFC North, excuse me. They're not winning the NFC North or the AFC North for that matter. But they're definitely not winning the NFC North. I might actually have their odds on the AFC side a little bit higher because here's the reality with the Packers. The Packers have to run the ball because their secondary isn't good. That's why they moved your boy Bo to cornerback because they're like, might as well try something. Can't get any worse. And the reality is, Cedric, that if you're moving guys to cornerback because you got bootleg Travis Hunter over here, that's not a great sign for your football team on defense. Now, are they going to run the ball? Yes. Can they get after the quarterback? To an extent. I'm going to be honest, I have Detroit not only winning the NFC North, but making it all the way to the Super Bowl. So
I just don't see it. They lost their coordinators. And then there's one
really had
player that
two
I've
first
seen.
year coordinators last year.
Yeah, well, okay, but listen to this, though. Here is one player to watch out for at cornerback that's going to make a lot of noise this year, and I'll put my money on it. I'll shove all the chips in at the poker table. Carrington Valentine is going to have a big year this year at cornerback for the Green Bay Packers. He has picked off Jordan Love twice in this first week of practice. He is hungry. I've interviewed him. He is looking to up the turnovers, up everything this year, and he's about as motivated as anybody I've seen on the entire defense. And the defense has actually outshined the offense all camp long. The defense has been getting the stops. The defense has been getting to Jordan Love. And that's still with me saying Jordan Love has looked good, but the defense has looked even better. So I think that the Packers are more of a complete team. I think that Detroit with the loss of their coordinators, I just don't know, man. The Detroit's still going to be good, but I don't have them winning the division. I think they do take a step back. And the
Detroit has
Packers,
some vibes.
I think the
Cedric, is
Packers can get 12 to 13 wins this year. I really do.
Okay, Boomer.
13 wins.
12 to 13 wins.
And the Patriots are winning 11, so yeah, I can totally see that.
No, I don't agree with the
Uh,
Patriots winning 11.
Well, that's not my take, just to be clear. I mean, look, I think it was a really hot take of you to say that Valentine, who finished 27th out of 222 eligible cornerbacks last year in terms of coverage grade per Pro Football Focus, is in for a big season. That's a super hot take, Cedric. And, he probably would have ranked higher if not for
No,
his
no, no. I'm saying that he will be one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL next season. He's going to be a Pro Bowler this year.
Pro Bowler.
can I
Pro
jump in
Pro
here
Bowler.
Bowler
real
and best
quick?
in the league. Those two things really don't matter. Richie
Pro Bowler, you
Incognito
got to
was
be
a Pro
top three at
Bowler.
your position to make the Pro Bowl. You got to be top three.
No,
Top three in your
math
conference.
ain't math in here. I think you're thinking all pro.
That's all pro, yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, for corners, it would be 2 on each team, so it would be 6.
Okay, well,
I
all
don't.
pro. He might be an all pro this year. He might be an all pro this year.
The confidence he
Just
says
watch
that
it.
with after, you gotta love it.
No, I like the confidence. He says, I don't care what he is, but he's gonna be all something,
He's
all
gonna be
season,
awesome.
all pro,
I mean,
all
hey,
that matters. He's gonna be great. Uh, but we're gonna segue on from my old to an
QB is
old Packers
QB1,
quarterback
man.
here, and we're gonna go to Aaron Rodgers, who is obviously now finally with the Steelers after his long wait to get there. Aaron Rodgers, how do y'all feel about him being better than last year? Last year he finished 10-7. What y'all think he's gonna finish this season?
I watched Aaron Rodgers throw last year. The number of steps he has to take before throwing the ball, there's an extra step in there. You know, you have to, I don't want to break down the mechanics of a Hall of Famer's, footwork, but it's very clear he's taking a second or third step to throw long, and he's holding it when he doesn't think his arm strength can get the ball downfield. That's why his interceptions were lower with the Jets last year, and I saw it on Monday Night Football in person. So for me personally, was he the worst quarterback I'd ever seen? No, but you got to understand what his limitations are. And you look at that Pittsburgh offensive line, they're going back to Broderick Jones after kind of yo-yoing him around that line. Dan Moore Jr. is out in Tennessee now, protecting Cam Ward. He got there too late for Will Levis's shoulder. And you know, the receiving core, which looked like it could be his strength, well, they had to jettison George Pickens because he might be the latest in a long list of receivers who have played their way, or rather talked their way out of Pittsburgh. So, you know, between losing Pickens and Najee Harris, your offense from last year, you're relying on Jalen Warren and Caleb Johnson to replace Najee Harris. You're maybe upgrading from Pickens to Metcalf, but it's not a significant upgrade. You don't know who your left tackle is. You're happy to get your right tackle back, but Pittsburgh, they always talk about how they find a way to win 9 games. I don't know that you can win 9 games of Aaron Rodgers just because of everything that comes along with him. And look, I get it. The Jets are a dysfunctional organization. You could write entire books on it. But the reality is this. The Jets went from 2-2 under Robert Saleh to free falling under Jeff Ulbrich, which kind of makes sense given the fact his son prank called Shadur. But, bottom line is this. Rodgers didn't do that team any favors. He feuded with his number one receiver. And I'm sure that DK Metcalf is thanking God that Alan Lazard wasn't released by the Jets. Because if Alan Lazard was on the Steelers, DK Metcalf would get 5 targets a game tops. You just can't win with this guy at this point in his career. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Mike Tomlin's a wizard. I think their best case scenario is they get blown out in the first round again. I personally think they would have been better off with Kirk Cousins.
I disagree with you, man. I disagree with you completely, and here's why. The Steelers, for the last 4 seasons, have been just a quarterback away from being really good. They were relying on Kenny Pickett to lead their team, and they still got to 9 wins. Mike Tomlin still has that streak of winning records in 2 straight decades. And I think that that's going to continue. They're not only going to get a winning record. I think that Aaron Rodgers brings them to a Favre-like season in 2009 when Favre came back for the Minnesota Vikings and brought them to the NFC Championship. I think that the Steelers can compete. I don't think they're going to win the AFC. I'm not going that far. but I think that Aaron Rodgers is actually the missing piece, the competent quarterback. I think that he can put up the same numbers that he did last year with the Jets on this Pittsburgh Steelers team. But then those numbers on this Steelers team, for me, leads to an 11-12 win team. I
I
think that
mean,
they can make the divisional round. I think that they make at least the divisional round.
is this team? I have to ask you something seriously because, outside of as soon as Fashanu came in at left tackle, the Jets' offensive line they finished strong, and a lot of the reason they were giving up sacks is because their over 40 quarterback was holding the ball too long. You know, he made Tyron Smith's life harder, and Tyron Smith was not at his peak with the Jets, to say the least. Morgan Moses couldn't leave fast enough after, last season because you didn't know who the quarterback was going to be. And the reality I think we have to come to of Aaron Rodgers is this. Maybe he's a little better because he's a year removed from the Achilles injury, but he's also a year older. And you're counting on Mike Tomlin to rein him in. That is what you were doing at this point. Look, he's a
He's
ratings
done it. He's done
machine.
it with a lot less talent. I'll put it that way.
I'm not sure. I think you're overselling this Pittsburgh offense.
Can,
DK
can
Metcalf isn't better than Garrett Wilson at this point.
Don't forget about the running game, though.
I'm sorry, we're Najee Harris is with the Chargers now, so we're talking about Caleb Johnson and Jalen Warner. Are you going to put him? Are you going to put those two ahead of Brees Hall, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis? I don't really think you're going to.
Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers wasn't the problem with the Jets, and I've
He
heard
wasn't the
you say that
solution
on
though,
multiple
and that's the
occasions.
thing. He's not the solution. Your best case scenario is that he's Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson, even at this point in his career, is a better runner. He is.
I think that Aaron Rodgers will have a lot better year than Russell Wilson with the Steelers last year.
I mean, that's
Cedric,
not exactly the highest bar.
How many wins do you want to give? I can go down the schedule if you want me to, but how many wins you're
The
giving them?
Steelers with
Yes.
Rodgers, I think they can go 11-6 or 12-5. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Jack.
Yeah, yeah. Patriots winning 11 games.
People
Patriots winning
are
11
not
games.
going.
I did not say that, people, though, just for the record.
Shout out,
Yeah, they're
shout
not
out to
going to
our
get that
boy,
when you got to explain that insight
shout
joke.
out,
Yeah,
shout out
yeah,
to
you got to
to
explain
our
that,
boy
Jack.
Rich Rosa for that one. Cedric's best friend in Green Bay. Great guy, big Patriots fan, but 11 wins was insane before Stephon Diggs ended up in the news for I don't even know what those were. I think the legacy media was calling them pink crystals, which is definitely I think the technical name for what he had on him. Yeah, let's look over the Steelers schedule.
I, okay, let me go over the Steelers schedule, and you tell
All right,
me how
let's
y'all
break
feel
it
about
down.
this
Let's
being
break
a
it
win
down.
or a loss. All right,
All right, let's go.
first game, week 1 at Jets. Reunion.
Win.
Loss.
Okay, so we're already
Loss.
at odds. Odds already. Week 2, see the Seahawks. They'll be playing home.
Win. Win.
Loss.
Whew, wait. So one's 2-0, one's 0-2. Then you have at Pats.
Win.
Win.
Okay. 3-0 and then
Sorry,
one.
Rich Rosa. Win.
That's rough. Then they play home against the Vikings.
Win.
Win.
You
Yeah,
have
you
them
don't know what
undefeated, by the way,
the
Cedric,
quarterback.
heading into 5 weeks, and that'll be their bye week. So they're 4-0 heading.
I know.
Then
Yep.
then they got a rematch with one of Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett,
Yeah.
Shador Sanders, or Dylan Gabriel, and I'm gonna
So
go
we
on
got
a limb here.
Browns
The
week 6.
Browns, give me that win. 5-0, boy.
Okay, Bengals week 7.
Wait, I gotta make my pick. I have
Oh,
the
wait,
Steelers
sorry, yeah, go ahead.
1-2, and then they lose to the Bengals.
So you have them. What do
They
you have
beat
them?
the Browns, they lose to the Bengals. They're 3-3 at this point.
Okay.
Cedric
Cedric
has them
Eagles
6-0.
Is that their next game, Cincinnati? Or is that at home or away?
is at Cincinnati.
Loss.
5-1. There you go.
5-1, and you have them 3-3. And then playing Packers home.
Loss.
Loss. 3-4.
Okay. Then they play Colts home. Have a little home stay.
Win.
Win. 4-4.
Okay.
6-2.
Crazy.
Then then they play Chargers at SoFi. Chargers away.
Chargers win.
Win.
4-5. You got them at 7-2.
Steelers win. Steelers win in a close one, and Steelers are going to have a big home field advantage in LA. It'll be 80% Steelers fans at that game. Book it.
Well,
Across the country.
Saying the
Yes.
Chargers don't have
Yeah.
fans isn't the hottest take, but I got to give them a little bit more credit than that. This LA stereotype. And even if you haven't beaten the Chargers, you can't. They're losing both games to the Bengals. I don't care if
Because the
their
Bengals
pass
is
rush is there
next.
or not. I don't care if their pass rush is there or not. Aaron Rodgers can't move anyway.
So Bengals week 11,
Is that home or away?
home.
Win.
Loss. What did I have him at? 4-5. Now I got him at 4-6.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm
I
back.
got 8-2. Got 8-2 right now.
And then at the Bears,
4-7.
4-7.
The Bears. Caleb Williams taking a step up in his sophomore year.
He's got close to
In Chicago,
Yes.
I'll
In
go
Chicago.
loss. They're gonna have a weird loss in there. That'll be their weird loss.
Okay. And these next two games are rough because they're playing the Bills at home, week 13.
Loss.
4-9.
8-4. But wait a minute, the math ain't mathing. How are you at 4-9?
Let me go back through. Let's recount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
8-4.
I'm
I'm at
not
eight
good
and
at
four.
math. I've said this before. So I have them
Because
losing
we're
their
week
first
13,
two.
so you're missing one.
Hang on a second. So I got them losing their first two against the Jets and the Seahawks. They beat the Patriots, beat the Vikings, beat the Browns, lose to the Bengals. That's 3-3. Lose to the Packers, beat the Colts, lose to the Chargers, lose to the Bengals, lose to the Bears. So I have them at 4-7,
And now the Bills, you had
and
them
then 4-8. Yeah, 4-8.
4-8. Yep. There you
Four
go.
and eight. I got what? 8-4. Am I no, I'm at 9-3, aren't I?
Well,
Think you
Cedric,
think you said 8-4, but
you said
No,
eight.
8-4. 8-4. I do have a
yeah.
loss to the Bills. 8 and
Yeah.
4.
Well, guess what? Because it's not getting easier,
It
Grasshopper.
is not easy
About to
because
lose
they're
to the
at the
Ravens and go to
Ravens.
4-9.
At
At the
Ravens.
Ravens,
Yes.
loss.
So 8-5.
They beat
Yep.
Miami.
10 wins is a possible playoff run here. So now they're going to play Miami at home.
Win.
5-9.
That cold weather
Yeah,
is
it
going
will
to
be
get to
cold
Miami.
by week 15,
Yeah.
and they're playing at home.
Give me
So,
give me 9-5 at that point in the season.
Up next, they got Detroit too.
and they're playing at Lions, Detroit.
Win. Win.
Lost. They're 5-10.
Okay, and
Mike
then
Tomlin in December. Do not doubt Mike Tomlin in December. He
okay,
has one of the best December records in the history of any head coach ever. He's very high on the
Never had
list.
Aaron Rodgers before.
Even better.
I got him
Aaron
losing.
Rodgers in December. Aaron Rodgers in December. Mike Tomlin in December. Good history.
okay, and then at
The
Browns week
history part of
17.
that.
Win.
I'll give him
Okay,
a win. Give him 6-10.
okay, and then finally week 18, they're playing the Ravens at home. Final game.
Win. Win. At home, they're
Take
going to
it
win.
out with a whimper.
They always, no matter what the Ravens have talent wise, they always split. They always do, like every single year. That's why it's one of the great rivalries. Doesn't matter how good
Okay.
the Ravens are or how bad the Steelers are, or vice versa. The games are always close and it's a dogfight, and they're going to split. And
Well,
that's why I have Mike Tomlin going 4-0 in December and January. The last weeks of December and first weeks of
I mean,
January, because that's what he does. That's remember when the Steelers were 5-8, they were 5-8, and he still preserved the winning record streak by going 4-0 in December.
and did they make the playoffs that season?
They're going to be 8-5. They're going to be in the wild card hunt. There's going to be questions of whether or not they can make the playoffs with that tough schedule coming up. And Mike
5 is
Tomlin and
crazy,
Aaron
Cedric.
Rodgers
8
are
and
going to
5
go
is crazy.
4-0 to prove the doubters wrong again, because that's what they do, except with Rodgers with the Jets.
The only games that I'm going back and I'm looking at that I have them winning, possibly, is maybe I can flip one from the Bengals
I
and one
stand by
from
what
the
I'm saying.
Seahawks.
12
That'll
and
get them
5,
to
I think
8 and
You
has
said
it.
9.
12-5.
But if I'm being
12 and
honest, I
5.
don't think the Seahawks start out poorly because I think Sam Darnold has a chip on his shoulder, and I don't think
You
that.
think that Mike Tomlin's winning record streak will come to an end?
I mean, I think they're. I could see them go 9-8, but I think it's an outside shot, and you'd be counting on probably at least one win against the Bengals, which I don't have happening. I don't think they're in the same stratosphere as the Ravens. Like, you got to remember, Cedric, the Ravens really haven't been. The Ravens and the Seals, even when they're not good at the same time, neither of them is historically bad. I don't think this is a good football team in Pittsburgh. Your run game's unproven. Your tight end is good, and you got one receiver. That's the reality. And
I
let me tell
will.
you this. If the Jets went into the season If the Jaguars went into the season, if the Raiders went into the season with this roster, your prediction would be 6 wins. It would be. And I understand the bias
Probably.
towards Mike Tomlin because he's one of the best coaches in football. But even though he
Aaron
can
Rodgers,
win
one
games
of the
without a
greatest
quarterback,
quarterbacks of all time.
he can win games without a quarterback, but he has
I
failed
think
to
Aaron
show.
Rodgers has a vintage season. I think he has a vintage season. Favre did it in '09. I think Rodgers can do it.
I
And he's going to fulfill the prophecy. Remember the prophecy with Favre. Favre left, went to the Jets, was underwhelming, and then went to the
Favre,
Vikings and crushed it.
Favre had a winning
I,
record with the Jets, and then he got hurt.
I think
That's a very
I
different thing than what you're describing
no.
here. It's
I
very
think that
different.
Rodgers.
Rodgers
I think
got
that
hurt three
Rodgers will not
snaps into his
only
Jets career.
Rodgers will not
Fine.
only equal his numbers. I think he'll actually slightly improve.
Yeah, good luck with that receiving core.
It doesn't matter. I think he'll slightly improve. Tom
I
Brady's done a
hope.
lot more with a lot less.
Tom Brady's a better quarterback and a better leader.
Objectively.
But hey, I
Yeah.
think Rodgers could have just as many hot takes on Pat McAfee, if not more.
Give me the Steelers for 12 wins.
Okay.
Not so hot take.
I think they're closer to 6 than they are to 12. Maybe they split the difference, but I don't see this team winning more than 9 games. They're just not very good. And the only reason I think I could walk back my comments on the Bengals is because we don't know if they're actually going to pay their pass rusher. But in this case and scenario, I think they're going to pay Trey, and they're going to do it this week.
I can see them paying Trey, but I will say the last few weeks for the Steelers have historically they've been a good team last few weeks, and the Ravens may not even start Lamar Jackson in week
Yeah.
18. Browns might not even know. You assume they're going to know their quarterback, but we don't know what's going to happen with them. And
I
the
could also
Lions haven't been healthy in the past, so there's no guarantee. But
nobody's ever healthy.
yes, see,
Also, I mean, I could also subtract a win from them if Kenny Pickett has a revenge game against the Steelers. You just don't know. We're dealing in too many hypotheticals at this point.
there's a lot of hypothetical, and we're very early.
Look at what the team looks like on paper. Look at what they need to go right. They need a lot of things to go right to be good. And
Okay.
that's the issue with the Steelers.
And we're going to transition from one good team to a team that's looking to be good this year after a bunch of year stuff not being great. We're going to look at Justin Fields, who just came back to play some 11 on 11. And we're going to start with you, Jack. How are you feeling about Justin Fields coming back?
Well, look, I just praised Mike Tomlin and he deserves every second of it. But, every great head coach looks at a quarterback, you're 4-2, and you bench him immediately. That's just what a good head coach does. And it worked for the Steelers for a little while. And I think what we're seeing now is that decision to bench Fields has backfired. I think he was making a lot of strides in Arthur Smith's system. They weren't asking him to do too much. And now he's going into a system that's going to be designed specifically for him. You look at that offensive line, right? They have 3 first-round picks on it, 2 on the right side, 1 at left tackle. Their center's a second-round pick. Their backup center, a former Green Bay Packer, could probably start on half the lines in the league. I don't know how he's there. And Simpson's a very good left guard. So, I look at this offensive line, it's solid. And I'm looking at this team from the trenches out. They have 3 running backs that can run. They're legit. And I know there's been a lot of conversations about Breece Hall and contracts and all that stuff. The reason there's going to be enough carries to go around this year is because the Jets are going to run the ball like no other team in football. They're going to run the ball probably more than 50% of the time. That's just the way they're constructed. They have 1 receiver. Their tight end is a rookie. And, who I don't even know who their second receiver is, to be blunt. I think you're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets with Jeremy Ruckert, who, while he was good with Fields at Ohio State, hasn't shown it at the NFL, level. He just hasn't. I still like him. He's a Long Island guy. I think he can be productive for them in that, tight end 2, role. And I think there's untapped upside there. But the reality is, with that revolving door at quarterback, with the revolving door at OC, he hasn't been that good. The difference is when you transition to the other side of the ball, this Jets defense was very different before Jermaine Johnson got hurt, and it was very different before Robert Saleh got fired and Jeff Ulbrich was dancing to Woody Johnson's tune. I think they've made a lot of adjustments up front, a lot of depth signings that are going to help. I think their linebackers are still good. I think Jamie Sherwood, he earned every cent he got. I think they've upgraded at safety, though I don't think it's a strength. And the only real loss they have here is DJ Reed. which hurts. I'm not gonna lie, it does hurt. But I really like Thomas, the kid they got out of FSU in the third round. You know that hurts my soul as a Florida Gator. Just like the Eagles GM said, it hurts my soul, but he's a really good corner. Only fell because he's a 6'2" kid who doesn't run a 4.4. But when you got that big physical second corner and you already have Sauce Gardner, I'm not worried about my corners. And you also have who's the corner they got from Baltimore, actually? I'm blanking on his name here because he hasn't been good in training camp, but there's rumors that they might move him to safety. Brandon Stevens. And I think there's enough here on defense, there's enough here on offense to just manufacture some really ugly wins. Like, this is not going to be a fun football team to watch. I want to get that out of the way. They're not going to be fun to watch. And truthfully, I don't believe they're built to win with the weapons they have. They haven't given Fields enough. That's one thing that hasn't changed for him. In the passing game, in the running game, I think we have to look at this team and be like, Breece Hall is a pretty good running back, and now they have one of the best run blockers in college football in Membu coming in on that right side. They have Elijah Vera Tucker next to Armand Membu. Those are two big, mean men. I would not want to be on the other side of them, and I'm not just saying that because I'm 5'11". I don't think anybody wants to be lining up against them. Your left side of your line is strong. That unit's going to be mean. They're following the Detroit playbook. You have a coach in Aaron Glenn who knows what he's doing. He knows the culture, and he wants to be there. I think, there were reports earlier in training camp. I don't remember who said, maybe it was minicamp actually, about how they were incorporating, like the Bible into their routine. And I saw this tweet. I don't remember who it was from, but it was like, I usually don't like religion at work, but in the Jets' case, they might actually need Jesus. This team needs Jesus. All right. They've been in purgatory for 14 years. Do I think they are taking a step in the right direction? Yes. But at the same time, this is the Jets. It can all come apart at any moment. We all thought it came apart earlier last week when he was carted off because of a toe issue. He's back at 11 on 11, Justin Fields. But that is the fear the Jets fans live with every day, and they have two injury-prone quarterbacks. And even though I think Tyrod Taylor is a good quarterback for a backup, it's a slippery slope, Cedric. It's a house of cards.
I'm chomping at the bit at this, and I'm going to apologize to Jack in advance because he's already been through a lot of misery over the last 14 years. And I pity the Jets. I'm like Mr. T right here. I pity the fool. I pity the fool, okay? And the fool collectively is the Jets organization and fan base together. Because I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know. All that analysis you just did is all well and good, but this was all very simple. And I appreciate everything you just said, but all that analysis wasn't even necessary. No matter who's on the roster, you said it at the end there, the Jets are going to jet. It doesn't matter who they have. They could have the most talented players in the league. They could have had Tom Brady go. Imagine if Tom Brady chose the Jets instead of the Bucks after leaving New England. He would have never done it. But if he did, the Jets would have been the only team to find a way to screw that up. So I think that
I don't know that anybody could screw up Tom Brady. To be honest, the Buccaneers
look,
aren't exactly always the most well-run ship. They have a
Jack,
former Rutgers
man,
alum. Who's Rutgers football coach right now? Can you refresh my memory on Greg Schiano and how his tenure in Tampa Bay went? Before we start throwing rocks, let's not forget that some of us are living in glass houses here, and just because Philadelphia is run by a elite Florida Gators alum, and you're riding our coattails right now, I think you got.
What does this have to do with
You got to
Florida?
back
We're
up.
not talking about Florida. We're talking about the New York Jets. Why are you bringing
And
up
we are
Florida?
talking about the Jets, but you're not. You're not.
Jack, you know as well as I do that the Jets are the most snake-bitten franchise currently in the NFL. We just saw that a few days ago. We just saw that a few days ago with Justin Fields nearly getting hurt. They're lucky that he's back. I mean, look. On paper, 2 years ago, you have up and coming.
2 years ago.
Yeah, you have up and coming Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers. That's a team that should have went deep.
Wayne Brown at left tackle. Don't forget the fundamentals, Cedric.
That's a team that should have went
the fundamentals down
into the playoffs. What happens? Aaron Rodgers comes out all hero, gangsta with the American flag, looking like a patriot, and then what happens on the fourth play of the game?
Bad word, I meant
the Jets are gonna jet. The Jets are gonna jet. It doesn't matter who's on the roster. They could have the entire Philadelphia Eagles roster on their team right now, and the Jets are gonna jet. It just wouldn't work.
Well, you can hear you
They're
can
snake
hear that
fans. They're
Philadelphia
cursed.
Eagles fandom right now.
You can like it doesn't all that analysis you did is not necessary because it doesn't matter.
I don't think that's
I don't
true. I
even
don't
care
think.
who's on the roster. I don't care who's coaching the team. The Jets are gonna jet. That's it.
I mean, the reality is, Cedric,
They
and
have to
this is
prove me wrong. The
true.
Jets are gonna jet until they don't jet. When are they not gonna jet?
Probably when Woody Johnson is no
And I
longer.
pity them. I hope they do well. I do, but I
I
think that the Jets
appreciate
are
your
gonna jet.
condescending pity. I really do. But let's actually look at their schedule for a second. Because, and I
Five
know
and
already who you're
12.
going to
They
pick
could
for
have
this.
10 Pro Bowlers and they'd still go 5-12 because they're the Jets.
They might have 10 Pro Bowlers this year. I mean, they have three elite pass rushers, and, we're not talking about your Eagles here, but and this will be something probably for next week, but we can talk about the Eagles pass rush and how that looks right now. And we can talk about the fact you guys couldn't afford, your number one safety. There's a lot of stuff we can talk about on that
Well, we
front, but
haven't
that's
heard
not
from
what we're here to
Kyle on
talk
this though.
about.
I do want to just hear his thoughts.
So I'm a Justin Fields fan, and I will be completely honest, completely biased. Ohio State fan of Justin Fields since he was in high school. So I'm gonna be straight up. Justin Fields to me, I don't believe that a team is like casted to internal damnation. So I don't believe the Jets are just gonna jet because of the Jets. If anything, injuries are gonna play a role way before we can talk about curses or anything of that nature. And I don't think the Jets have like always been bad. The early 2010s Rex Ryan, they weren't horrible. They
Mhm.
weren't that bad of a team. Even though they had
Very
Mark Sanchez. I'm not going to act like I'm the biggest Mark Sanchez fan, because
good
we
man.
all know what happened to Mark Sanchez. Um,
He
but
should have
fumble
been,
guy.
he should have been cut after the white skinny jean incident, but
Mark
you know,
Sanchez played well for Philadelphia that one year. I'll say that 2014.
But what I will say
always
is,
comes back to Philadelphia with him. We can't even have a conversation about the Jets about him, pumping their tires.
Not only
we're
that,
we're getting a little off here.
Let's
We're getting a
let's go
little off.
let's go
well,
through the Jets record since we did it for your Super
Yeah,
Bowl
let's go through the Jets
Packers.
all
games.
right.
All right, so I'm giving them the win against the Steelers. I think Fields comes out with a bang.
It's just going to be you because they're going to go 5-12. I don't care what the schedule is. They're just going 5-12.
All right. So Steelers, I have a win. Bills, I have a loss. Buccaneers, I have a loss. Dolphins, I have a win. So they're 2-2 at this point. Beat the Cowboys, lose to the Broncos 3-3. Beat the Panthers, lose to the Bengals 4-4. Beat the Browns, beat the Patriots 6-4.
6-4.
Then we get to the Ravens. Lost to the Ravens 6-5. They beat the Falcons 7-5. They lose to the Dolphins 7-6. They beat the Jaguars 8-6. They beat the Saints 9-6. They beat the Patriots 10-6, and they lose to the Bills 10-7.
You
Ten
got the
and
Jets
seven.
going 10
I,
and
I
7.
I've heard that prediction quite a bit from
I
Jets
have them
fans.
I have them beating the Patriots, who are going to be awful this year. I hate to break it to Patriots fans. That's not a good football team. Not in how they're constructed in free agency and not how they're constructed through the draft. They don't have enough around their franchise quarterback. They're much better set off than
Hmm.
the Jets at that position until Justin Fields
Can I
plays.
can I ask one question?
Sure.
Um, you have just get it right. You have them beating Dallas
Yeah, Dallas
at
sucks.
Dallas,
I hope so.
Dallas is cooked.
and then
It'll be
at
Joe Milton
Denver, you have
time.
them losing. So you believe Denver is a
Better team
worse
than
team than
Dallas.
Dallas? Hmm.
No, I have them losing to Denver and beating Dallas. I think
Oh,
Denver's
okay. I
a better team.
swapped it. I swapped it. So
Denver's a
you,
better team. I have them beating Carolina because I don't think Carolina is necessarily that strong defensively yet. I think offensively they're better. But I think
mm,
when you look at the Jets are, and this is something that historically has been true for a bad team. They've been a bad team with a high floor for a bad team, if that makes sense. Like they're really good at winning 6 or 7 games, but let's not pretend the Jets haven't won 10 games since they made the playoffs. No, no, no. They tortured us in the Fitzmagic year when Ryan Fitzpatrick set franchise records for passing touchdowns at 32. All right. I'm not even putting them in the playoffs here. I just think their schedule is weak. I don't think Dallas is good. I think they'll split with Miami and beat a Patriots team I think could legitimately win 2 games next season because their defense is a mess and they've invested in a lot of guys who are injury prone or on the wrong side of 30. I mean,
mm.
for God's sake, their right tackle was traded from the Ravens to the Jets and Morgan Moses, and he's a decent right tackle when he's healthy, but he's breaking down now. Walked from the Jets to New England. See, you got a veteran right tackle on his last legs, respectfully. He's got maybe 2 years in him. They gave him a 3-year contract for whatever reason, probably just to lure him away. You know, you're relying on Will Campbell to anchor your left tackle spot. And that's tough for any rookie, but I think he'll be all right there. But you got to look at their receivers. You got to look at their running backs. I don't think Travion Henderson's a feature back in the NFL. And I like Travion Henderson. But you got to look at his body of work. You got to look at everything this team has. They don't have a number one receiver. They might not have a number two receiver. You got to look at their secondary. They have a number one cornerback. Their number two cornerback's going to miss at least 6 games. That's what Carlton Davis does. You look at their linebacker core. You look at their front seven as a whole. That's a beautiful team. You look at Miami, they're a mess. Don't talk to me about Miami. They're a mess. I'm betting that the Jets can beat the Browns, the Falcons, and the Jaguars and the Saints. Are those my hot takes there? Are those hot takes that
I think
those teams?
your hottest take is that we're looking at this first half, the first 8 games of this season, and we're almost like fly buying the fact that most of those teams have playoff potential. Buffalo has playoff potential based on
I
what
have them
Cedric
losing to
said
Buffalo.
earlier. Based on what Cedric said earlier, Pittsburgh has playoff potential. Tampa
Right.
Bay is one of the weakest conference in NFC South. They might like get a auto bid winning
I,
only 8 games.
I believe
Miami,
in I believe in Baker. I believe in Baker.
yeah, Miami has playoff potential. That
No.
depends on health.
Secondary and offensive line is still a mess. Pass rush is questionable.
So you don't okay. Dallas has playoff potential.
No.
I think 3 teams.
They just lost their left tackle today.
They've lost things in the past that does not like to
Not
me
on the up.
change the fact that they
Look at
have really
Minnesota
good
before and
quarterbacks.
after losing Christian Darrisaw last year. Look at Sam
Yeah.
Darnold before and after losing Christian Darrisaw last year.
I'm not comparing Sam Darnold to Dak Prescott. Not even remotely,
I
even
think that at
close.
this point in Dak's career, I think we need to have that conversation.
I Sam has never
And
been
this
the
isn't
EVP
praising Sam
combo
Darnold. This is
quarterback.
criticizing Dak Prescott.
No, I'm not sitting here saying Dak Prescott is Aaron Rodgers. Probably I'm saying he's definitely ahead of Sam Darnold, and he's had way more experience losing really good players in the past. So I'm not
And
putting him
I
in
don't
Sam
trust that
Darnold's
line.
position.
Don't worry, they drafted a left guard at what, number 12? So I'm sure they really addressed the left tackle position with that pick.
And then Denver, playoff team.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Carolina, as a Panthers fan, with how the NFC South is, they're a playoff team, contender, not a shoe-in. And Cincinnati, let's be honest, by the time you get to this point in the season, they should have pretty much figured out what they're doing
I
wrong.
have
They're
them
going to
losing to
lose a few games.
Cincinnati.
You have them losing?
I have them. Look, I mean, I think they'll probably take one of the games that I don't have them winning. They could go 3-5 in the first 8 games, to be honest with you. But you still have the Patriots twice. You still have the
Yeah.
Browns. You still have the Falcons. I don't think the Dolphins are good, and I still have them splitting that. I don't think the Jaguars are good. I don't think that, respect to Tyler.
We want to do worst take, right? Are we on worst takes yet,
We're
Kyle, or
not
not?
yet. We're not
Not
yet.
yet. We're about to get there. We got stuck on the
feel
Jets
like-
for a minute. I
Well,
knew this was
It
coming.
was a line for them to have a meaningless winning
I got an
record.
early worst take for you right here.
Well,
Okay.
we're not even on to
And
worst take yet. We got 2
and,
more
and
segments.
everybody's gonna call me insane, but here's my worst take for
Lord.
the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills are not winning the AFC East next year, or this upcoming year. Sorry, the Miami Dolphins are.
That's
The
a
Miami
door.
Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins
Won't
are
win a game in
winning the division.
December. Mix
They
in
are
a
winning
water,
the
bud.
division
Mix
over
in
the
a
Buffalo
water.
Bills. They are winning the division over the Buffalo Bills.
Get yourself in a walla. Mix in a water.
That is my quote unquote worst take.
No, that's disqualified. We're
They're
gonna
going
get
to go 11 and 6.
we're gonna get
They're going to go
canceled for
11
this.
and 6. They're going to go 11 and
No.
6. The Bills are going to go 11 and 6, and they're going to win
I'm
the
not gonna
tiebreaker
lie.
over the
I
Bills.
think your take that the Dolphins are gonna win the AFC East. We might as well just say you're on the Epstein list and cancel the show right now. This is atrocious. This is atrocious.
The Miami Dolphins are winning the AFC East next year. They're going to be tied with the Buffalo Bills. They're going to have the
McDaniel's on
same
the
record,
Epstein
but they're
list.
going to win the tiebreaker via the
Daniels
division
could be on the
tiebreaker.
Epstein list, right? Like, at least as a mention, right? Like, yeah, I could see that.
No, I don't
No,
really
no.
know. I never wrote the policy.
But this is the level of nonsense we're talking about at this point. Once you say the Dolphins are winning the AFC East, it's a
Well,
door.
I have Tua staying healthy. I do.
Yeah, that's fine. They're still not winning the AFC East.
If Tua stays healthy, They're winning 11 games.
They're still not. No, they're not.
So
If
let
Tua
me
starts every game, they're winning 11 games.
Sweetie, no, sweetie.
okay, let's transition
Tua
real quick. But
Tagovailoa
we
is a
still
top
have
10 quarterback in the NFL when healthy.
On Madden, sure. And with
Tua
that,
Tagovailoa
And
is a
with
top
that,
10 quarterback in
are
the
you just trying to
NFL
show us
when
that you
healthy.
can say the name?
he's pretty good at it though. Like
He is pretty good at it.
he's nailing the name, so I don't know why we joking.
I mean,
Tua
But
all right, now
Tagovailoa is going to throw for 28 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions next year.